Hi, friends. Today we're going to try to escape from an evil dog in Roblox. It's right behind us, but it seems to be sleeping. So for now, we're safe.
Hi everyone! Not only do we have challenges ahead, but also boss battles. By the way, if you know the name of this dog, let us know in the comments.
Sheriff Labrador, what if we jump on her belly?
Let's do it, but be ready in case she wakes up, don't worry.
I think she's stuffed and watched TV all night.
Yeah, looks like we need to crawl through the vents. But there's parkour ahead. Good thing I did that back in school.
Oh no, you accidentally broke her mom's vase. Looks like she's sleeping soundly. Hope she won't notice when she wakes up.
Let's quickly pass through and slip away. Oh, here's a huge room. See those metal platforms? We need to press a button.
I wonder why this dog created all these challenges. I don't think she could handle them herself, although they could be useful for maintaining health.
Wow, it's a rope bridge. I used to ride one of those when I was a kid. Maybe she built all these obstacles so no one could disturb her sleep. But here we are, trying to escape from her. Strange that she kidnapped us. Look, she has a family. Why can't we see them? And who's the guy in the picture on the left? Looks like Tom's friend.
I have a theory. We've entered a world of talking animals. Maybe this is hell because no one wants to be forced to talk, especially about things they don't want to.
Probably. She built all these trials to avoid the fate of endless conversations. Now we need to find the others and figure out why we were kidnapped.
Maybe they kidnapped us so we'd replace them in conversations and they could be free? Or maybe they feed on other animals and that gives them the ability to talk? Or maybe they're just a little crazy. We need to focus on getting out of here and figuring out what's going on.
We need to crawl through the vents. It's the way to the next location. Hopefully we'll meet some new characters.
Look, it's Talking Tom!
Oh, he fell!
Get ready to run.
I don't think he has good intentions. Have you ever seen Tom with red eyes? He looks like he's ready to crush us like pancakes. Looks like he's about to start shooting lasers.
What if he can do more than just talk? We'll need superpowers to apprehend the suspects.
Why is he hiding around the corner? Did he think we couldn't see him?
Maybe he's a little dumb or just sleepy and disoriented.
He has funny little teeth like a baby. You know, he even seems a little cute to me.
Oh, looks like you like all of this. Hope you don't start turning into one of them. Are you in a trance or something?
I don't know. Hope I'm not getting absorbed by this atmosphere. If something happens, let me know.
Of course, let's go through the vent. We've already dealt with Tom. Let's see who's ahead. Looks like a kid's room.
Maybe it's Ben's room?
You're right, it's a girl. I wonder what her name is and if she's facing the same problem as Ben.
While you were talking, we're already in her paws. Why did we get teleported back? I don't think she's as evil as Tom.
I think so too. If she wanted to bite us, she would have gotten out through the bars. There are huge gaps in them.
Oh, her name is Lily. Strange that there's no room for her brother. Why are they separated like that? Let us know in the comments if you have a brother or sister and live in the same room.
What if something happened to her brother? Maybe that's why everyone went crazy and thinks we killed him.
Dobie, you're daydreaming again. It's distracting us from our main goal. I don't think it's as scary as you think.
We're in the central ventilation system that provides oxygen to the entire complex. I wonder what we can leave as a souvenir here.
It was an ordinary night when Dobie and I were patrolling the city of animals. Nothing unusual until a strange light appeared in the sky. It was pulsing, changing colors, and moving like it was alive. I immediately realized it wasn't a meteor or a regular drone. We decided to approach it. When we got to the deserted park, the light grew brighter and descended right in front of us. We stopped, turned on the sirens, and began observing. And then, from that light, dogs began to emerge.
I thought it was some kind of illusion, but no, these dogs look nothing like us. They were large, with bright, almost glowing eyes. Some of them wore metal collars, which were clearly more than just decorations. I felt something stir inside me. It was like encountering something completely different. They approached us confidently, as if they knew exactly what they were doing.
They didn't look like ordinary dogs. Their behavior was calm, but determined, and their eyes held such confidence that it was immediately clear. They weren't random visitors. One of the dogs, who seemed to be the leader, stepped forward and stood on its hind legs. It looked at us, and we realized that it wasn't just trying to scare us, it was trying to communicate. It began explaining that they came from another world, where everything is the opposite. There, dogs are the rulers, and humans are the pets.
I couldn't believe my ears. It felt like something out of a science fiction movie. These dogs claimed that their civilization was much older and more advanced than ours. They traveled between worlds, and now that they had found ours, They wanted to propose an exchange. We, the dogs, should become pets in their world, and they would become the masters in ours. And to do this, they were willing to use their technology to move us there.
I was stunned. We, the dogs, would become pets, and these creatures, strange as it sounded, would take our place. But their confidence in this proposal was so strong that there was no point in doubting. They said their world was one of harmony and order, where dogs rule and humans serve as pets. I felt that this wasn't just a random appearance of aliens. It was a proposal that could change everything.
I kept trying to wrap my head around what they were offering us. Exchange. It wasn't just a word. It meant that our world would change forever. We could try living on the other side, in their world, where dogs were rulers and humans were our pets. We could experience a life we'd never known and see how everything worked there. But I also realized that if we agreed, we would never return.
We were faced with this choice: exchange worlds, become pets in another world, or stay in ours. But knowing that would mark the end of ordinary life. I didn't know what to do, but in their eyes, I saw sincerity. This was more than just an offer. It was an opportunity. We could change not just our lives, but also understand what it meant to be part of another reality.
When they offered to use their technology to travel between worlds, I felt my heart race. It seemed unbelievable, but the thought that we could become part of their world was inevitable. Dogs ruling humans. Life in another world. I didn't know what awaited us, but I was sure of one thing. From this moment on, everything would change.
The day Dobie and I received the call, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. We were patrolling the streets of Animal Town, as usual, when our radar beeped. It was an emergency call, and when we heard what was happening, I felt my heart race. Something terrible was approaching. An evil scientist, known for his bizarre inventions, was threatening to launch a machine that could turn rain into a shower of sweet candy. It seemed harmless. What could be wrong with candy rain? But we knew the consequences could be catastrophic.
As soon as we heard about the scientist's plan, we knew exactly what was at stake. Candy rain wasn't just a fun prank. Sheriff and I knew that too much sugar was a serious threat. If this rain actually fell, all the kids would get toothaches. But it wasn't just that. We all know how hard it is to control the urge to eat a candy. What if there were too many of them? It could lead to severe dental issues and even health problems. We had to act fast.
We sped through the city, and with each passing kilometer, the sense of urgency grew. The scientist, as always, couldn't just leave people alone. He was insanely confident in his plan and didn't think about the consequences. In his lab, a massive machine was already prepared to launch the candy rain.
When we got to the location, everything was ready. The scientist was standing by his machine, surrounded by a tangle of wires and mechanisms that clearly didn't look safe. We immediately realized that time was running out. The machine had already started launching the first candies into the air. They were falling with great speed, like rain, but instead of water, it was caramel, chocolate.
Well, here we are. Behind this door, we've got the map's final boss waiting for us, and it looks like we were wrong. This isn't just any boss. It's a giant robot named Ben. Let's try shooting him right in the teeth. I'm aiming for his legs. Maybe that's his weak spot and he'll fall.
Wow! Ben turned out to be a real coward. Instead of fighting, he just built a giant robot.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if he were sitting in a chair right now, sipping coffee and watching a movie. I hope it's not alcohol, though.
And he's probably watching football while we're attacking him. This is so unfair. When we got to the location, everything was ready. The scientist was standing by his machine, surrounded by a tangle of wires and mechanisms that clearly didn't look safe. We immediately realized that time was running out. The machine had already started launching the first candies into the air. They were falling with great speed, like rain, but instead of water, it was caramel, chocolate, and lollipops. I quickly assessed the situation. If we didn't intervene, tomorrow all the kids would be in trouble. As soon as we turned off the machine, the sweet rain stopped.
Wow, we won! Don't forget to congratulate us in the comments, but it's time to leave this crazy world of talking animals.
Well, I guess it's time to say goodbye. Hope you enjoyed our escape from the talking animals.
Yeah, don't forget to leave comments, like, and subscribe to the channel. It means a lot to us. Also, check out our other videos and let us know what you'd like to see next. Time to move on. Let's go to new adventures. Wait, what's going on over there? I hope that's not a giant ginger robot. Or Angela. Bye. Hello, friends. This is Sheriff Labrador and my faithful partner, Sheriff Dobie.
Hi, guys. Today we have something special for you. We are diving into the world of Roblox and playing the Escape Funnies Toy Shop mode.
In this mode, our main task is to escape from the creepy toy store, but it will be harder than it seems.
We'll have to hide and run from the terrifying toy that wants to trap us in its world.
Friends, hold on tight because it's going to be both fun and scary.
In this mode, we have 6 tough challenges, each testing our skills to the limit. We might even face the main toy boss at the end. It sounds frightening and exciting, but we can handle it because we are a team. We just turned on the lights to see better, and now we are heading into the ominous tunnel to find the exit.
2. This tunnel looks really spooky. I hope we don't encounter many traps.
The main thing is to be careful and stick together. Friends, keep your fingers crossed for us. A real challenge lies ahead.
What are these tracks? Some monster sneaked into the ventilation and left its tracks here. Maybe we could crawl through there and find the exit right away. But the vent is closed. We'll have to go through this creepy tunnel with broken pipes. Dobie, are you afraid to jump through this hot air?
No, I'm not afraid. Do you think I'm a coward? We've gone through many scary modes together. I'm almost used to them. By the way, it's better not to look down right now. Wait, do you hear that? Or is it just me?
I don't hear anything. We've encountered a real challenge. A scary maze, guys. This maze is not only complicated, but also full of dangers. A huge, terrifying toy will chase us if we don't find the exit in time. It will turn us into its toys.
This challenge will require our maximum mental and physical strength. The maze is huge, and we must be very careful to find the exit as quickly as possible. But don't worry, Labrador and I will guide you. And remember, friends,
this is just the first challenge in this mode. Ahead of us are many difficulties and puzzles. We must be ready for anything and never give up.
Hey, Labrador, this parkour is really tough. It seems we are facing the hardest challenges in this mode.
Indeed, Dobie, but this is just the beginning. We have a lot more ahead of us. By the way, do you remember what our friends said about the next challenge?
Oh, yes. They mentioned something about red and green colors. They said it's one of the most interesting challenges here. We need to be ready for anything.
I remember they said these colors are related to choosing a path or solving puzzles. We need to be alert and use our brains.
Exactly, Labrador. Let's leave the parkour behind and get ready for the next challenge. Remember, teamwork and attentiveness are our best allies here.
Absolutely, Dobie. Let's move forward. New challenges await us, and we must prove that sheriffs are not easily broken. Green light. Run, Labrador. Oh, wait, red light. Stop and don't move. Green light. Run, Dobie. Run. Just a bit more. You can do it. Oh no, stop, red light. No way out, or as they say. Or as...
Labrador, I almost lost because of you. Is something wrong with your reactions? The green light was on, and you only mentioned the red. Do you not know the difference between green and red?
Ha ha. Sorry, Dobie. I got a bit confused. Next time I'll pay more attention to the signals. Don't worry. I'll react faster in the next challenge.
We've passed the second challenge of this strange living toy, and now we just need to climb up and start the third challenge. Honestly, I thought it would be easier. This is the hardest challenge for us.
You're right. I hope you guys are subscribing to our channel and liking our efforts. These challenges are really tough, but the third challenge will be 100 times harder. I doubt our friend told the truth.
Hey, Labrador, look what's ahead. Our task is to climb this tower of toy blocks before this Titan toy robot catches and crushes us. Okay, Labrador, let's look at our options. These columns of blocks can be our cover. We can run between them to avoid the robot's grasp.
Great idea, Dobie. We can also use these toy blocks to slow down its movement. Throw them at its feet to create obstacles and gain valuable seconds.
Right, Labrador. And don't forget about teamwork. Coordinate our actions. One of us distracts the robot while the other circles the edge of the tower. This way, we can split its attention and gain more time.
Exactly, Dobie. Let's get to it. Let's show this robot who the real sheriffs are. Stick to the plan, and we'll definitely succeed.
Only 6 seconds left. I'm sure we can survive. If not, Labrador, you were the best friend I've ever had. Hooray! We managed to outsmart the Titan robot. Honestly, it was pretty dumb. Just a clumsy piece of metal destroying everything in its path.
I think we shouldn't have opened this door. It's really creepy here. It looks like the place where we need to find an exit and escape from the main character of this mode. Wish us luck, subscribers.
Hey, Labrador, look who's chasing us now. It's a living toy, and it's after us through this abandoned toy warehouse. We need to keep moving and not let it catch us, or we'll be its next victims.
Wow, Dobie, this is really terrifying. Let's use our knowledge and experience to get out of this situation. We must find a way to dodge it.
I see a machine ahead. Could it be an escape route? No, it doesn't look like it. There's lava down there. How is there lava in a toy store? Some monster must have created it while we were driving.
I wanted to tell you something yesterday. We received a call from the toy store owner. He said toys started disappearing, and all the surveillance cameras were turned off. This prompted Dobie and me to immediately head to the scene.
Yes, Labrador is right. When we arrived, the store seemed empty and abandoned, with toys and plush animals scattered everywhere.
We started the investigation and found Mr. and Mrs. Squirrel hiding in the far corner of the store. It turned out they were taking the toys, thinking they were for their children.
When we asked them why they didn't use the surveillance cameras, they said they didn't know how to turn them on and were just trying to do something nice for their kids.
In the end, we cleared things up and suggested they visit the store during business hours to buy toys. They apologized for the inconvenience and promised not to take anything without permission again.
So friends, sometimes mysterious disappearances aren't about dark forces. Sometimes it's just parents trying to make their kids' lives brighter.
It seems we've been through a lot, but now the fourth challenge awaits us, which turns out to be a real test.
Yes, Labrador, this challenge is like games such as Mario. We need to run and jump, avoiding traps and collecting everything that can help us stop the giant head of this living toy that is trying to catch and eat us.
Now Dobie and I found ourselves in a world reminiscent of classic Mario in 2D. We started on a platform surrounded by green pipes and brick blocks, but the real excitement was ahead. We were being chased by a giant toy head. We had to jump and collect bombs to slow it down.
Exactly, Labrador. These platform jumps are quite the challenge. It feels like being a puppy again, trying to reach high shelves. And those bombs are a real treasure. Throw one, and the head slows down, giving us a chance to run further. Great job, Labrador. We're almost at the finish, friends. And who would have thought that simply escaping from a toy head could be so exciting?
Here we are in the ventilation system, friends, or almost there. We've already made it halfway, and honestly, I'm a little worried. These pipes look like they haven't been cleaned in ages. And the air here, it's not the freshest. But we can't stop now. We need to keep going to get out of this toy store. Who would have thought that toys could be so dangerous?
You're right, Labrador. And these rusty pipes? It smells like an old basement, but it seems like we're no strangers to tough tasks. These old abandoned toys scattered through the sewers are staring at us with their empty eyes. They're definitely not happy to see us, so we need to be careful and stay alert.
We made it through that sewer, and I have no idea how we managed to escape. The toys tried to grab us. Oh, Dobie, look, it's game number 5.
It kind of reminds me of some game, or maybe it's just me. What do you think, guys? Let us know in the comments.
What a challenge. Dobie and I are back in the toy store, and now we have to jump on platforms that are about to start falling. As soon as they turn red, we need to get off, or we're in trouble. Honestly, I'm a bit nervous because these platforms are so slippery that you barely have time to react.
Yeah, Labrador, these platforms are a real headache. You barely land on one before it starts glowing red. It feels like a game of cat and mouse. You almost made it, but it's about to disappear beneath your feet. Of course, we're sheriffs, but here we really need to be extra careful. I even joked a few times that if I fall, I'll land on a soft toy. Whew, we barely made it through this level. What's next? Is this the end?
This toy train looks extremely suspicious. I doubt the exit is here, but we have no other choice. Settle in, Dobie. We're in for a long ride.
Let's go, Sheriff Labrador. I hope we don't encounter any screamers along the way and everything goes smoothly. Oh no, it was a trap.
What do we do now? We're falling straight down. We're going to crash, Sheriff Labrador.
Are you here? I see the final arena.
Yes, I'm here. It looks like this is the final challenge. Oh, wait. It's that same living toy in a robo-suit. How do we deal with it, guys? We're facing the main boss, a toy robot threatening us with lasers and a giant metal structure.
Yes, Labrador. This robot means business. It's firing all its weapons and trying to crush us with its huge feet.
But we won't give up. To defeat this boss, we need to aim for its weak spot, the legs. We have rocket launchers and we need to hit them directly.
Let's act quickly and in sync. Labrador, you take the rocket launcher on the right, I'll take the left. Let's focus fire on its legs while we have the chance. Watch how it opens the vents on its legs.
Now's our chance to attack. Launch the rockets.
Great shot, Labrador. We damaged its leg. Just a bit more and we'll have it.
The boss is getting more aggressive. Watch out. Dodge the lasers and keep attacking its legs.
Another rocket hit the mark. The leg is starting to smoke. We're almost there.
We're on the home stretch. We'll defeat this evil robot. Hooray! We managed to destroy it. They didn't call me Diamond Eye at the Sheriff Academy for nothing. I'm a really good shot. Now we just need to find the way out of here, guys.
You're all the best. You helped us defeat this toy robot. I hope we really won and this isn't another trap.
Guys, please watch till the end so this evil grandma doesn't catch us. Hello, everyone. This is Sheriff Labrador.
Guess who we're running from today?
Yes, I'm not alone. Dobie is with me. We're trapped in the house of an evil grandmother, and our goal is to escape. We need to be quiet so we don't wake her up, but it won't be easy.
You think she's just an old granny? But that's not the case. You should see what she's done to this house. Grandma has set up real challenges in her home.
She hated her grandchildren and decided to feed them cookies until they popped like balloons. But we managed to save them, and today we will stop her evil.
Let's start the escape. Oh, look, it's a photo of that old man we already ran away from. Looks like they're married.
Oh no, I hope she doesn't wake up. I remember how we escaped from that old man. Be sure to watch it on our WoW channel.
Looks like this valve leads to the attic. I hope Grandma doesn't catch us here. Oh, she even set up mines. Why do you think this old woman locked us in a cage?
She probably loves cats. There are pictures of them hanging around, though all grandmas love cats. Maybe she wanted to make soup out of us.
Look, we're high up and there are spikes below us.
I hope we don't fall right into Grandma's mouth when we get out of the vent.
Me too. It would be tragic if she ate us right away.
There's a lot of dust in the vent. It's annoying me.
Oh, look, Grandma is right in front of us. I hope she doesn't wake up.
Let's jump on her stomach. Oh, unexpectedly, she didn't notice us.
Look, teeth in a jar. Ew, that's disgusting.
We need to hurry before she wakes up. She's running right after us.
Oh no, green snotty cookies. Better not step on them. She even farts. She might grab our tails. Look, a red button. We need to press it quickly.
This button opened a passage. Let's run there before Grandma catches us.
Look, Grandma turned red. We need to jump next to her.
Now she doesn't even pay attention to us.
There are a lot of cookies here. I was right. She loves cookies.
The evil grandma is so clumsy she even dropped a glass of milk.
She forgot about us. She's not even trying to catch us. Oh, look, a huge fan that will lift us up. There are traps along the way, but we won't give up.
We'll easily overcome them. I completely agree with you, Dobie. There are no obstacles we can't overcome.
Oh, we almost fell back. We need to be more careful.
Hooray, we overcame the traps.
Don't celebrate too early. Let's see what's behind the door.
Look, we're in some kind of dungeon.
Let's jump on these geysers. I think they'll help us move forward.
Hey, Dobie, don't you think it's getting too hot in here?
Yes, it's very hot here. Let's get out of here quickly and have some ice cream.
Whew, the board broke under us. I hope it doesn't happen again.
Look, a vent. I think we should climb into it.
The vent is dusty again. I hope there are no spiders here.
I wouldn't want to see a giant spider.
Oh no, we fell into the room where Grandma knits.
I hope we don't meet her here.
I wouldn't want her to knit a scarf out of us. Listen, something's rolling. A giant ball of yarn.
We didn't make it to the safe place. I hope we'll be luckier next time.
It's convenient that there are holes in the walls here. Otherwise, we would have been crushed long ago.
I see the exit. We can tell some interesting stories because a battle with Grandma awaits us ahead.
Once, in one of the neighboring districts, strange things began happening. At first, it seemed like an ordinary event. Rumors started spreading about an old woman who had settled at the edge of the town. She looked perfectly normal. Gray hair, glasses on her nose, and a hooked nose, just like any other grandmother. But as the days went by, people started noticing odd things. She never talked to anyone, and the children who went into her house started disappearing. Parents were in a panic, but no one could figure out what was going on.
Sheriff Labrador and I decided to investigate. At first, we thought it was just rumors and overreactions. But when we peeked inside this grandmother's house, we discovered something inexplicable. In one corner, there were strange potions. In another, books on magic. And on the walls were portraits of children who clearly had stopped growing. We quickly realized that she was no ordinary grandmother. In fact, she was a witch who used her charm and disguise to lure children into traps.
We began keeping an eye on her. She hid her true nature by pretending to be a kind old lady, But as soon as children entered her house, she used spells to turn them into statues made of cotton. In this place, they became useless toys, which she could display in her shop window or use for her dark rituals. The more we investigated, the more oddities we uncovered. The grandmother witch was a master of transformations, and her powers were dangerous for the entire town.
Once we learned about her sinister plans, we had to come up with a way to stop her without putting the children at risk. We decided to sneak into her house at night when she would be sleeping. While Labrador distracted her, I found a hidden passage that led straight to her basement. There, I discovered a magical circle that was being used for the transformations. We realized that to stop her spells from working, we needed to destroy the circle and reverse everything.
While Dobie figured out how to destroy the circle, I kept the witch occupied. She didn't immediately realize that we had uncovered her. But as soon as she did, her face turned sinister. The grandmother started transforming. Her body became more twisted, and her eyes filled with bright yellow light. We knew we had to act fast, or she might regain control of the town.
Time was running out. I rushed to the magical circle and, using everything I knew about magic, managed to destroy it. As soon as the circle was destroyed, the witch screamed and tried to break free, but her power was weakened. All the transformed children returned to their normal forms, and she herself turned to ash, disappearing into the air. We were in shock at how close we had come to a disaster.
Once everything was over, we returned the children to their parents, and everyone breathed a sigh of relief. But we knew that there could be other dark forces lurking under disguises in our town. We decided to stay even more alert and prepared for such events. After all, we must always protect our citizens from such dangers.
This case was a real lesson for us. It reminded us that the world can be full of hidden and dark threats, and we must be ready for any surprises. Labrador and I promised ourselves to always stand guard and protect our town from any evil creatures that may threaten it.
Another mega cool story. It all started when a strange pizzeria appeared on the outskirts of town. At first, it seemed like just another ordinary place. But as soon as Dobie and I started patrolling the area, we immediately felt something was off. People who entered the pizzeria came out with huge smiles on their faces. But what caught our attention was that they were literally swelling up before our eyes, becoming more and more round.
Labrador and I decided to find out what was going on. Soon we discovered that this pizzeria didn't belong to ordinary people, but to cyber robots disguised as grandmothers. These robots were programmed to feed anyone who fell into their trap with a special meal. But the food they served wasn't just delicious. It started filling people's stomachs with air, making them swell up like balloons.
All this time, Dobie and I couldn't understand what kind of technology was behind these strange robots. We started observing them and soon realized that these cyber grandmothers were designed to lure townspeople into a trap. Every time someone ate their pizza, the cyber grandmothers used hidden mechanisms to fill their bellies with air, causing them to expand to enormous sizes. And strangely, no one could stop themselves. Eventually, they would just pop like balloons.
Labrador and I started planning how to stop this horrible machine. We realized that if we didn't intervene right away, the whole town could turn into one giant bubble that couldn't withstand the pressure. To stop it, we needed to break into the pizzeria and destroy the main source of this evil plot. We knew the cyber grandmothers would be guarding the place with incredible strength, but we couldn't let this threat continue.
Once we snuck inside the pizzeria, we saw the main cyber robot, the grandmother, standing at the counter, serving food to the customers. We immediately knew she had to be destroyed to end this. But as soon as we got closer, she started making strange noises, and her metal parts began moving like a real robot. That's when we realized she wasn't just serving food. She was also activating a hidden mechanism that accelerated the inflation process.
It wasn't an easy task. I noticed an old, eerie computer near the pizzeria, which seemed to control all the cyber robots. Labrador and I decided the best way to win was to destroy the system controlling them. I ran over to the computer and, with the help of an old hacker tool, managed to shut off the power. At that moment, all the robots lost control, and they could no longer serve the food that caused people to inflate.
Once we disabled the main power source of these evil robots, the whole pizzeria fell silent, and the townspeople started returning to their normal sizes. Those who were on the verge of bursting began to feel fine, and their former shapes returned. In the end, we were able to restore order to the town. The cyber grandmothers no longer posed a threat to our world. But we knew this story wasn't over, and we had to be ready for new threats that could come from the most unexpected corners.
And that's how this tough battle with the cyber grandmothers came to an end. Labrador and I knew we couldn't stop there. We kept patrolling the streets of the town, because in the world of animals, there's always room for new dangers. But this time, we managed to win. Our town was safe again, and all the residents could breathe easy, knowing we're always on guard.
We managed to get through and escape from that evil grandma. Thanks for watching till the end. But this isn't over yet. There's another mode ahead. Let's go. Guys, help us! Quickly like the video, leave a comment, and watch it until the end, or we might fall straight into the lava.
Hello, everyone! Imagine you're stuck in an abandoned pizzeria where danger lurks at every turn. The main goal is to escape this creepy place. But be careful. The terrifying chef Papa Pizza is on your trail, cooking up his horrible dishes from human parts. Yes, you heard that right. This will be a true test of your agility and wits.
Welcome to our channel, friends. It's your sheriff's Labrador and my trusty partner Dobie, back with you again. Today we have something special. We are embarking on an exciting adventure in a Roblox mode called Escape from Papa Pizza's Pizzeria. Dobie, tell everyone what challenges they'll face.
Oh yes, guys. You'll face puzzles, traps, and the need to quickly run away from this crazy chef. But don't worry, Labrador and I will be there to help you every step of the way.
Ready for an incredible adventure? Then get comfortable, gather your courage, and let's see if we can escape Papa Pizza's Pizzeria together.
Oh no, Labrador, where's the light? It seems Papa Pizza is after us. Hide, Labrador. We need to act quickly and precisely because Papa Pizza is right on our heels.
Oh, guys, he's right behind us. Do you see those scary eyes and that creepy apron? Papa Pizza is cooking his horrible dishes and wants to add us to the menu. We need to find a way out urgently.
Exactly, Labrador. Listen carefully, guys. To save ourselves, we need to find a hole in the floor and jump into it. It's our only chance to escape this crazy chef. Let's move quickly. We don't have much time.
We did it, guys. We're safe for now, but stay alert. There are always new challenges ahead in this game.
Thanks for being with us, and until the next adventure. Whew, that was scary, but we made it. Subscribe to our channel, like our videos, and leave comments about what modes you'd like to see next. And now we are...
Yes, in the stinky sewers. Oh, the smell here is terrible. But we have no choice, guys. To get out of here, we need to climb through a hatch. The problem is, Papa Pizza is waiting for us up there.
Exactly, Labrador. The hatch leads directly to the bathroom, and Papa Pizza is already there, ready to catch us. But we have a plan. First, we need to find the hatch and climb up carefully. Then we'll try to outsmart him.
I see the hatch ahead. Be careful and watch your step to avoid traps. Dobie, do you think we can outsmart Papa Pizza?
Of course, Labrador. We need to be smarter and faster. Guys, as soon as we climb through the hatch, be ready to act quickly. We need to figure out how to bypass Papa Pizza and escape.
Let's try. Here's the hatch. I see it. Is everyone ready? Climb carefully and quietly. Just like that. We're almost there.
Oh no, he's here! Run, guys, faster! We need to find a way out of this bathroom and avoid Papa Pizza. Labrador, where to next?
We got through that scary web. But how did Papa Pizza turn into Papa Spider? Oh no, we stepped on a spike. We'll have to start over.
Now we're navigating through a spiked trap. We have to be very careful not to get caught in them.
Yes, Dobie, this is definitely not a place you want to get stuck. Watch your step, guys, and stay away from those menacing spikes. We can handle this together. Stay close.
After this trap, another challenge awaits us. We'll have to do parkour over old pipes that could collapse at any moment. Be careful, guys, and help each other out.
Once this was an excellent establishment where all the animals of the city came for the best pizza. But something happened, and now Papa Pizza has closed his pizzeria and become incredibly evil. They say his secret recipe was stolen, and since then, he lost all interest in cooking. We're here to find out what happened and try to escape this creepy place.
Yes, Labrador, you're right. This place is filled with an atmosphere of eerie abandonment. Papa Pizza was famous for his recipes, but after the theft, he completely changed. Now the pizzeria is not a place of joy, but a labyrinth full of dangers. We must be careful. We just passed by the kitchen, and there was a huge pile of dough, as if Papa Pizza was trying to recreate his recipes, but failed. He couldn't make that magical pizza anymore.
We've seen how the pizzas turned into real traps. Remember that giant pizza that fell from the ceiling right in front of us? That's definitely not the pizza we're used to seeing. Papa Pizza has set up many traps here to make sure no one can escape. At one point, it seemed to me that he was wandering these corridors himself, guarding his lost empire.
Yes, this pizzeria has turned into a real nightmare. We went through the kitchen and there were pizzas with teeth. Something incredible. And those pizza boxes that open and try to grab you certainly don't add any confidence. Papa Pizza clearly doesn't want anyone to get out of here alive. His malice has soaked every corner of this place.
Now we've reached the main hall and everything is turned upside down. Broken tables and chairs, scattered ingredients. Everything indicates that a real chaos happened here. Papa Pizza, losing his secret recipe, transformed from a kind chef into a real monster. We have only one option left. Find a way out of this madness and try to restore the pizzeria's former glory.
I agree, Labrador. We've overcome many challenges, but the most important one is ahead. Papa Pizza may be evil, but we've proven time and again that we can handle any difficulties. Let's keep moving to escape this place and perhaps help Papa Pizza find his former self.
Friends, I want to share a very secret story with you. It all started when we received several strange reports from the residents. They claimed they had seen a living pizza that moved on its own and seemed to have its own plans. At first, we thought it was a joke, but when the number of reports increased, it became clear that something unusual was going on. Dobie and I decided to check out these reports and went to the location where the most calls were coming from.
When we arrived at the scene, we were greeted by frightened residents pointing to Papa Pizza's pizzeria. It looked normal, but something was off. We cautiously entered and immediately noticed unusual tomato sauce marks on the floor. We followed these marks and ended up in a storeroom where we were in for a real surprise. There was a huge living pizza moving around and making strange noises. We realized it wasn't just alive, but also aggressive.
It turned out that this living pizza was the result of an experiment gone wrong by Papa Pizza. He had wanted to create the most delicious and unique pizza in the world by adding rare ingredients and a special magical seasoning to his recipe. But something went wrong, and the pizza gained its own consciousness and the ability to move. Moreover, it decided that it could become the ruler of the city and take control. Dobie and I realized we needed to act quickly to stop it.
We began to devise a plan to neutralize the living pizza. It was important not only to stop it, but also to ensure that something like this wouldn't happen again. We remembered that the magical seasoning could be neutralized by adding certain ingredients to the pizza. In search of these ingredients, we turned to our friends in the city, and soon we had everything we needed. The hardest part was getting close to the pizza to add the ingredients, but our teamwork and determination helped us succeed.
After several attempts, we managed to neutralize the living pizza. It lost its movement and became just an ordinary pizza. We returned it to Papa Pizza and explained what had happened. He was shocked and promised not to use magical ingredients again. The city regained its peace, and all the residents were grateful for our rescue.
This story was an important lesson for us about how experiments can be dangerous if you don't know when to stop. We realized that our job is not just to protect the city from external threats, but also to prevent internal problems. From now on, we will always be more careful with any unusual events, so that such incidents won't happen again.
We finally made it out of that pizzeria. These challenges were pure hell. Pizzas with trap flavors, trampolines throwing us into endless nightmares. But now, even more adventures await us. The forest. And it seems Papa Pizza hasn't forgotten about us. He's still on our tail. We need to find a way out through these dark trees, or we'll end up in his clutches forever.
This forest is really creepy, Labrador. It's as dark as a basement, and I can hear something rustling in the bushes. We've survived the pizzeria traps, but this will be even harder. The key is finding those trash bins with fences. I'm sure that's our only chance to escape. We need to climb, jump, and then we'll be able to get away from Papa Pizza.
Do you hear that? It's him. Papa Pizza won't back down. He's chasing us, and we need to move fast. Those trash bins with fences are our way out. But no matter how hard we try, this forest feels endless. We'll have to jump and hope that the next trash bin is the one that will lead us out.
No shadow or sound will stop us, Labrador. We've already gone through the horrors of the pizzeria, so this forest is just another obstacle on the road to freedom. The key is not to lose our heads. We're almost there. Let's jump over the fence and break free from this forest like real sheriffs.
Here it is, the spot. We're at the last trash bin. This is our chance, Dobie. We need to jump straight into the darkness, but I believe there's an exit there. Let's go.
We did it, Labrador. Just a few more steps, and we're safe. Papa Pizza didn't catch us, which means we're free again. See you soon, friends.
Here we are, friends. The pizzeria is behind us, and the forest too. We've gone through all these trials, and despite Papa Pizza trying to catch us, we broke free. I hope you enjoyed our adventure and didn't forget about us while we were running away from that giant pizza. Hello, friends. Today, we have a dangerous new mission in Roblox. Dobie and I joined the Escape from Evil Grandma game mode and found ourselves trapped in a huge, strange building. It looks like a warehouse, but it has elements of a daycare and a school. Scattered everywhere are old toys, desks, lockers with textbooks, and random blankets. But the scariest part, this place is ruled by an evil grandma who has no intention of letting us leave. We have to escape before it's too late.
Yeah, Labrador, this place is terrifying. There are things everywhere that once belonged to kids, but now they're dusty and forgotten. The lights flicker, and the air smells like old furniture. I have a bad feeling. Grandma already knows we're here. We can't hear her footsteps yet, but that doesn't mean she's far away. We have to be extremely careful because there's no turning back. The doors behind us have already locked.
We look around. In front of us are long rows of tall shelves stacked with boxes and strange objects. Old dolls, school notebooks, torn backpacks. It looks like a collection from different time periods. We need to make our way through this maze, but something tells me there are traps ahead.
I noticed some boxes moving on their own. The warehouse seems alive. It looks like evil grandma has put a spell on this place. Suddenly, a loud thud echoes in the distance. Something just fell. We freeze. It could be just an old toy, but I have a feeling we're not alone.
Step by step, we move carefully through the warehouse, staying close together. Suddenly, we hear a loud creak. The door at the end of the corridor slowly opens by itself. It seems like the only way out, but as soon as we get closer, slam! The door slams shut. Grandma is playing with us. We need to find another way out.
We find a side passage and escape the warehouse. Now we're in an even creepier place, an old daycare. It must have been bright and cheerful once, but now it's different. Dolls with faded eyes sit in the corners. The walls are covered in drawings. Children, but their faces look scared. The swings creak on their own, even though there's no wind.
Every step here feels heavy. It's like the place itself doesn't want us to leave. The floor is covered in spilled paint, but it looks too dark to be paint. I have this strange feeling. We're being watched. Suddenly, we notice an old rocking chair in the corner. It's slowly moving back and forth, even though no one is sitting in it.
This is no coincidence. Grandma knows we're here. We need to get out of this area fast. We move through the rooms filled with broken toys and forgotten belongings. But once again, the exit is blocked. Grandma isn't going to let us go that easily.
See, finally, we escape the daycare and enter the school hallways. There are lockers everywhere, scattered books, and on the blackboard, someone has written, "You will never escape." This is starting to feel like a horror movie, but we're not afraid. We're sheriffs, and we will escape.
The silence is broken by a loud, piercing bell. The sound echoes through the hallways. This is definitely a trap. We speed up, but then we hear a creaky voice from around the corner. Grandma! She's here!
We hear her heavy footsteps. The floorboards creak beneath us, and the walls seem to move. We cannot stop. The hallway feels endless, but up ahead we see a door. Our only chance to escape. We sprint forward.
But Grandma is fast, faster than she looks. She's already right behind us. Her long, bony hands reach out. We dive for the door and slip through just in time. Grandma bangs on the door angrily, but it's locked. We need to keep moving before she finds another way to get to us.
We find ourselves in a massive room. This must be the main warehouse hall. In the center stands a giant rocking chair, and the walls are covered in old photographs. But we don't have time to look around. Evil Grandma is here. Her cold eyes stare at us, and in her hands are huge knitting needles. She's not going to let us go without a fight.
She moves faster than we expected. Her heavy steps shake the floor, but she's quick. We dodge her attacks, trying to find her weak spots. We have to work together.
We use all our skills. The battle is intense, but we won't give up. Grandma tries to corner us, but we dodge just in time. Slowly, she starts to weaken.
One final move. We launch a decisive attack, and Grandma vanishes. The room becomes brighter. The warehouse and school return to normal. We did it. The exit door unlocks, and at last, we are free.
Phew, that was a tough mission, but we made it. Evil Grandma will no longer haunt this place. The warehouse, daycare, and school are back to normal. We restored order.
Great work, Labrador. We proved that even the scariest villains can't stop real sheriffs. Mission complete. We escaped. Now we're ready for our next adventure.
It was just an ordinary day in our town. Dobie and I were patrolling the streets, enjoying the peace, when suddenly the sky lit up with a strange flash. I barely had time to notice how the ground beneath us trembled, the air filled with electricity. And in the next moment, we were no longer where we were supposed to be. When I came to my senses, I saw massive skyscrapers before me. Glowing screens displayed the faces of famous superheroes. On one of the buildings, I saw a giant letter A. There was no doubt, we were in the Avengers Tower. Dobie and I had somehow ended up in the Marvel Universe.
At first, I thought it was just a dream, but everything felt too real. The hum of cars, the chatter of people, and the roar of strange metal creatures flying above us. Suddenly, a familiar red and gold figure flashed through the sky. Iron Man! Before we could figure out what to do next, Tony Stark was already hovering in front of us, scanning us with his system. Judging by his tone, he wasn't thrilled about the sudden appearance of two talking dogs in police uniforms. Without wasting time on questions, he ordered us to follow him to Avengers Tower.
Inside the tower, we met Captain America, Thor, Black Widow, and Hulk. Each of them curiously studied us. Dobie tried to explain that we ended up here by accident, but no one seemed surprised. Apparently, in their world, such things weren't unusual. Before we could even process everything, an alarm blared through the building. Loki's face appeared on the screen. He announced that he was opening a portal and unleashing an army of Chitauri. The city was in danger of another invasion. Dobie and I exchanged glances. There was no way we were sitting this one out.
Tony handed me a strange device. From his explanation, it could temporarily close portals. Meanwhile, Labrador grabbed the nearest shield, which turned out to be Captain America's spare. By the time we rushed outside, the battle had already begun. Chitauri swarmed the city, attacking civilians and destroying buildings. Iron Man soared through the air, firing at enemies. Thor struck with lightning, and Hulk just smashed everything in sight. I noticed a group of civilians trapped by the aliens. I had to act fast.
I covered Dobie, blocking several laser shots with the shield. He dashed forward and activated the device. A flash, and one of the portals collapsed. That's when we realized we could help the Avengers shut down the rifts faster. Captain America nodded at us and hurled his shield at another group of enemies. I couldn't resist. I mimicked his move and threw the shield I had. It struck two Chitauri and miraculously returned to my paws. The feeling was incredible. Then suddenly, Loki leaped at us from the rooftop.
I realized he had chosen us as an easy target, but before he could strike, Thor hit him with a bolt of lightning. Loki crashed to the ground but quickly got up, smirking. He said that even if we closed the portals, he would find another way to return. That made me uneasy. Did he have another plan? While Labrador and I kept Loki distracted, Tony worked on a device that could permanently shut all the portals. But time was running out.
Loki attacked again, this time using his magic. He created several illusions, making it impossible to spot the real him. But Dobie had an idea, using Tony's device against Loki himself. As soon as we activated it, Loki's magic glitched. The real Loki appeared right in front of us, disoriented. We couldn't waste this chance. Thor hurled his hammer, knocking Loki off his feet. At that exact moment, Tony finished calibrating the device and gave the signal.
I watched as the portals started collapsing one by one. The remaining Chitauri lost connection to their ships and fell powerless. The city was finally returning to normal. Loki was captured, and the Avengers thanked us for our help. Iron Man admitted that without us, the battle could have lasted much longer. But one question remained. How would we get home?
Tony and Dr. Strange worked together to find a way to send us back. They created a portal that would open a time rift leading home. We said our goodbyes to the Avengers, stepped through the portal, and
We woke up in our town. Everything was as it had been before. Quiet streets, peaceful citizens, just another normal day. But we knew it was real. We had an incredible story, one no one would ever believe. But most importantly, we proved that no matter the universe, we were still sheriffs, ready to fight for what's right.
it was a hot day, and Dobie and I were patrolling the waterfront, enjoying the peace and fresh air. Suddenly, a scream echoed through the air. We turned quickly and saw a person struggling in the water, unable to get out. The person was going under, and I knew we had to act fast. I jumped into the water, feeling the coldness pierce through my paws. Dobie didn't hesitate and threw me a life ring, which I grabbed and brought to the drowning person.
I stayed on the shore, watching the situation unfold. Labrador grabbed the life ring and began pulling the person toward us. I tightened the rope, helping them move forward. The water was rough, but Labrador didn't lose a second. When they reached the shore, I helped the person up. He was coughing and breathing heavily, but he was okay, though clearly shaken. We sat him on a bench and gave him some water.
The people standing nearby started approaching, some bringing towels, others offering help. We waited for the medics, who quickly examined the person. Fortunately, he had just swallowed some water and was in shock. But overall, everything turned out fine. Dobie and I exchanged glances. It was a challenging experience, but we handled it.
Once the person was okay, we resumed our patrol. Sometimes it feels like our job is just about catching criminals, but in reality, it's much more than that. We saved a life, and that was our most important.
The day started peacefully. Dobie and I were sipping our morning coffee at the station, getting ready for our usual patrol. The streets were quiet. The citizens were going about their daily routines, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But everything changed when the phone rang. On the other end, we heard the trembling voice of a kindergarten teacher from Happy Tales Daycare. She was gasping in terror, almost screaming. The daycare has been taken over. A giant dinosaur broke through the entrance, roaring and not letting the children out. Then, the call was abruptly cut off. Dobie and I exchanged glances. No questions asked. We jumped into our patrol car and sped off toward the daycare at full speed.
On the way there, I tried to make sense of what I had just heard. A dinosaur? Was this some kind of joke? But the fear in the teacher's voice was too real for it to be a prank. When we arrived, all doubt disappeared. The entrance door was smashed, part of the fence was crushed, and scattered toys, torn books, and children's backpacks littered the ground. And most importantly, standing right in front of the building was a massive green dinosaur. Its skin glistened under the sun, and its red eyes gleamed menacingly. It swayed its tail as if listening to the sounds around it. From inside the daycare, we could hear the terrified cries of children. The situation was critical.
The first thing we did was assess the area. Behind the playground slide, a small group of children were huddled together, trembling. They needed to be evacuated immediately. The dinosaur noticed us and let out a deafening roar. The ground trembled beneath our feet. It stepped forward, scraping the ground with its massive claws. I took a step forward, drawing its attention. Meanwhile, Dobie started sneaking around from the other side. Our plan was simple. One distracts, the other gets inside. The dinosaur didn't give me a break. It suddenly lunged at me, but I jumped back just in time. We had to move fast.
While Labrador kept the monster occupied, I sneaked around to the back entrance. The door was locked, but through the window, I saw the teachers and children huddled in a corner. I knocked gently, signaling that I was here to help. One of the teachers opened the door, and I saw the little ones clutching each other, whimpering in fear. They told me that the dinosaur had appeared out of nowhere. It had simply smashed through the fence and started roaring, trapping everyone inside. I gestured for them to stay quiet. We needed to get them out unnoticed.
Meanwhile, I continued dodging the dinosaur's attacks. Then, I noticed something strange. A panel with buttons was glinting on its neck. This dinosaur was mechanical. Someone was controlling it. But who? And why? I didn't have time to think. I had to keep it away from the building while Dobie evacuated the children. I banged loudly on a metal trash can, drawing the dinosaur's attention. It turned its head toward me, growled, and took a step forward.
I led the children out in small groups. We moved quietly to avoid drawing the monster's attention. The teachers helped, keeping the kids calm. Once the last child was outside, we pressed against the wall, watching Labrador. He was skillfully dodging the dinosaur, but he couldn't keep it up forever. Then I noticed a huge water tank on the roof. If we could lure the dinosaur underneath it, we might be able to disable it. I signaled to Labrador. We always understood each other without words.
I immediately understood his idea. We had to lure the dinosaur directly under the tank. I took a few steps back, leading the monster toward me. As expected, it followed, roaring furiously. When it was right under the tank, Dobie gave me the final signal. At the last moment, I leaped out of the way.
I pulled the lever, and a powerful stream of water came crashing down on the dinosaur. It started jerking and sparking. We held our breath. A few seconds later, it froze, then slowly collapsed onto its side. Silence. Everyone stared at the lifeless monster. The children started clapping. The teachers sighed in relief. We did it!
As we stepped closer, I noticed a strange emblem on the dinosaur's body. It was the logo of an old laboratory that had been shut down years ago. So someone was still working on its projects. The real question was, why build a mechanical dinosaur? And why attack a daycare? We had saved the children, but we knew this was just the beginning. A new mystery had just begun, and I knew we would solve it.
This day was full of surprises. We defeated a mechanical dinosaur, saved the children, but there were too many unanswered questions. Who built this monster? Why target a daycare? And would there be another attack? But for now, our job was done. The teachers and children were safe, and Labrador and I knew if our city was ever threatened again, we would be ready.
The day started as usual. Coffee, reports, and post-inspections. Everything was calm in the city of animals. Dobie and I were about to start our morning patrol when a raccoon named Timmy burst into the station. He looked frightened, his eyes darting around, and he was out of breath. He told us that his friend, the fox Rick, had disappeared. The last time anyone saw him, he was playing a new game, Poppy Playtime 4. Timmy swore he had seen Rick literally vanish into the screen. At first, we thought it was a joke or just childish fears, but then Timmy showed us his tablet. The game's loading screen was still glowing, and there, in the reflection of a store window inside the factory, was a silhouette. It looked just like Rick. I exchanged glances with Dobie. This all seemed impossible, but we couldn't ignore it. If the game was somehow pulling players inside, we needed to figure out why. We sat down in front of the screen. The title flickered, and then the words appeared. Welcome to the Playtime Toy Factory. Enter your names to join. I typed in my name. Dobie did the same. The moment we pressed enter, the screen flashed, and darkness swallowed us.
When I opened my eyes, dim lighting surrounded us. We stood in a long corridor. Flickering lamps cast strange shadows on the walls. The air was stale, filled with dust and a strangely sweet scent, like old gummy candy. Labrador looked around. A poster on the wall read, "Welcome to Playtime Factory. Keep smiling." Below it stood a broken toy, a giant plush bear with an eerily wide grin. In the distance, we heard children's laughter. It was quiet, but it sent chills down my spine. We moved forward. The factory looked abandoned. Scattered toy parts lay on the floor, and the silence was only interrupted by the occasional creak of metal. Then we heard whispering.
Someone was there. I raised my paw, signaling Dobie to stay quiet. We carefully peeked around the corner. In the darkness, trembling, was Rick the fox. His fur was ruffled, and his wide eyes darted nervously. He said he didn't know how he got here. One moment he was just playing the game, and the next he was trapped inside. Since then, he had been hiding because they were coming for him. I wanted to ask who they were, but before I could, a loud crash echoed through the hall.
Dust rained from above. We turned sharply. At the end of the corridor, something moved in the shadows. A tall figure with long arms and glowing eyes stood motionless, watching us. It could attack at any moment. I grabbed Rick's paw and pulled him with me. We had to run. We sprinted forward, jumping over debris and broken crates. Heavy footsteps thundered behind us. The creature was chasing us.
We darted into a security room and slammed the door shut behind us. Inside, Dozens of monitors displayed different parts of the factory. On one of them, I saw the figure wandering the halls. It tilted its head as if sniffing the air. Rick told us this wasn't the only monster. The factory belonged to a strange entity that played with its visitors like they were toys. The only way out was to reach the main terminal and shut down the system.
We navigated through the toy assembly line where mechanical arms tried to grab our tails. Then we crossed a storage room filled with eerie stuffed animals that seemed to shift positions when we weren't looking. Finally, we reached the terminal, but there was a problem. A keypad locked the system. Rick remembered seeing a code somewhere, but he couldn't recall where. Then the lights began to flicker.
A scraping sound echoed behind us. We turned and saw it. A towering figure resembling a toy clown stepped out of the shadows. Its head tilted from side to side, and a wide, unsettling grin was frozen on its face. I told Dobie to find the code while I stepped forward, trying to distract the monster.
I frantically searched, tossing papers and boxes aside. The monster lunged at Labrador, its long arms reaching out. Then I saw it, numbers scrawled on the wall. The first 4 digits are 1987. I ran to the terminal.
The creature roared and charged. I barely managed to dodge. Dobie typed the code. First digit, second, third. The monster was almost upon us.
On the way there, I tried to make sense of what I had just heard. A dinosaur? Was this some kind of joke? But the fear in the teacher's voice was too real for it to be a prank. When we arrived,
The day started peacefully. Dobie and I were sipping our morning coffee at the station, getting ready for our usual patrol. The streets were quiet. The citizens were going about their daily routines, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But everything changed when the phone rang. On the other end, we heard the trembling voice of a kindergarten teacher from Happy Tales Daycare. She was gasping in terror, almost screaming. The daycare has been taken over. A giant dinosaur broke through the entrance, roaring and not letting the children out. Then, the call was abruptly cut off. Dobie and I exchanged glances. No questions asked. We jumped into our patrol car and sped off toward the daycare. Hello friends, it's me, Sheriff Labrador, and today we're taking on a series of challenges together with my friend Dobie.
Hey everyone! Yeah, just like Labrador said, we're playing a challenge map in Roblox. The mode is called Escape from the Dungeon.
Our first challenge is parkour on barrels over a huge lava pit. Dobie, are you ready?
Yes, Labrador, I'm ready. Phew, we made it through this challenge. Now we move on to the next one. We have to jump across wooden planks, but the most important thing is not to fall.
Dobie, how do you like this mode? I really enjoy it. The harder the challenges, the more I start loving this game.
I agree, Labrador. This map is amazing. Very well designed and detailed.
Let's move on to the next challenge. We have to run under giant spikes in time. If we don't make it, we lose.
Labrador, this is terrifying. One wrong step and it's game over.
Don't worry, Dobie. We'll get through it for sure.
We did it, Labrador, but we can't relax. There are even harder challenges ahead.
Now we're climbing up a ladder and entering a strange room filled with chests. We need to open them all and find the key to the door.
Oh, Labrador! We have to find the key to escape from this scary room.
I've opened so many chests, but still no key. Dobie, how about you?
Labrador, come here. I found the key.
Hooray, we're out!
On the next level, there are invisible traps under our feet. Labrador, we have to get through this level on our first try.
We're slowly making our way through, carefully jumping over the invisible traps.
Yes, we cleared this level on the first try. Teamwork makes anything possible.
Now we have to climb down giant wooden beams, but we can't fall. There's poisonous water below, and if we fall, we lose.
I agree, Labrador. We can't afford to lose now.
Dobie, we're so close to beating this level.
Yes, Labrador. We're almost there, and we did it. We're moving on to the next challenge. Let's grab the checkpoint. Up next is parkour on rocks, but if we fall, we'll get crushed and lose.
Oh no, Dobie, we fell. Is this the end?
Don't worry, Labrador. That's why we took the checkpoint. We have another chance.
Yes, we did it, and we're moving forward.
We finished the parkour, and a boulder pushed us straight into the next challenge.
Now we have to jump from rock to rock at super speed. Below us is a huge sea of acid. If we fall, we lose.
Phew, Labrador, we made it through this level.
The day started as usual, with a strong cup of coffee and another morning briefing. I was going through reports when my radio suddenly blared with an urgent alarm. The dispatcher's voice was shaking. Something unimaginable had happened at the Rainbow Meadow Kindergarten. Eyewitnesses reported that a giant dragon had suddenly appeared in the center of the building and was now holding it under siege. Inside were teachers and children. Dobie had just entered the station holding a box of donuts in his paws, but as soon as he heard the call, he set it aside immediately. This was an emergency.
When we arrived at the scene, we were met with a sight straight out of a fantasy movie. The dragon, massive, covered in green scales with enormous wings and eyes that burned like embers, was perched on the roof of the building. Its tail slowly moved, breaking apart the wooden fence of the playground, while its clawed paws gripped the chimney. Panic-stricken adults ran in all directions. Fire had already spread to the top floor, and we knew there was no time to waste.
The first thing we needed to do was find out if there were any injured people inside. As we approached, one of the teachers informed us that all the children had barricaded themselves in the playroom on the second floor. They were scared, but safe for the moment. The only problem was that they couldn't get out. The main entrance was blocked by debris, and fire had cut off the emergency exit. The dragon watched our every move, and clearly wasn't going to let us pass easily.
We decided to split up. Labrador would distract the monster while I tried to get inside through a window. The dragon tilted its head as Labrador pulled out a megaphone and turned the siren to maximum volume. The loud noise made the creature flinch. It turned toward him and let out a deep, rumbling growl. At that moment, I ran to the window, pulled out a crowbar, and struck the glass with all my might.
The dragon saw me as a threat and suddenly spread its wings. I barely had time to jump back as it dove from the roof straight at me. The ground shook from the impact, and I rolled to the side. Meanwhile, Dobie was already climbing inside. I had to hold the monster's attention. If it brought the building down, it would be a disaster. I spotted a fire hydrant nearby and rushed toward it without hesitation. I needed to open it and try to spray the dragon with water.
Inside the building, it was unbearably hot. The walls were cracking, and the air was filled with the smell of smoke. The children huddled in a corner, trembling with fear. I promised them I'd get them out and told them to hold hands. We started making our way to the exit, but suddenly there was a loud creak. The ceiling beam collapsed, blocking our path. We needed to find another way out.
I struck the hydrant several times with my baton, and a powerful stream of water burst out. The dragon roared as the water hit its face. It recoiled, shaking its head, giving me a chance to regroup. I quickly scanned my surroundings, searching for a way to finally subdue it. Then an idea struck me. I could use the nearby construction cranes to trap the monster.
We found a passage leading to an old storage room. There was a back door, but it was jammed shut. The children huddled together in fear as I tried to break it open with my shoulder. The smoke was getting thicker, the air hotter. We were running out of time. I grabbed a metal pipe and used it as a lever. The door finally gave way and we rushed outside.
The dragon was taking to the air. This was our last chance. I sprinted toward the construction crane, jumped into the cabin and yanked the controls. A massive net filled with steel beams swayed in the air. The dragon soared upward, but I had timed it perfectly. I released the load right on top of it. The beams struck its wings, sending it crashing back to the ground. The beast roared, tangled in the net.
I saw the children running into the arms of their relieved parents, but the dragon was still dangerous. It thrashed, roared, and struggled against the net. At that moment, specialists from the Magical Creature Protection Agency arrived. They used special tranquilizer darts, and within minutes, the monster finally calmed down.
We stood there, catching our breath, watching as the specialists loaded the dragon onto a transport platform to take it to a sanctuary. The children were safe. The firefighters had put out the flames, and the teachers couldn't stop thanking us. Dobie and I exchanged a glance. Another case closed.
As everything settled down, I looked up at the sky where the dragon had once soared. This was one of the toughest challenges we had ever faced, but the most important thing was that no one got hurt. We had done our job. And now, I think it's time to head back to the station and finally finish those donuts I left behind before this crazy day began.
The day started as usual. Coffee, reports, and post-inspections. Everything was calm in the city of animals. Dobie and I were about to start our morning patrol when a raccoon named Timmy burst into the station. He looked frightened, his eyes darting around, and he was out of breath. He told us that his friend, the fox Rick, had disappeared. The last time anyone saw him, He was playing a new game, Poppy Playtime 4. Timmy swore he had seen Rick literally vanish into the screen. At first, we thought it was a joke or just childish fears, but then Timmy showed us his tablet. The game's loading screen was still glowing, and there, in the reflection of a store window inside the factory, was a silhouette. It looked just like Rick. I exchanged glances with Dobie. This all seemed impossible, but we couldn't ignore it. If the game was somehow pulling players inside, we needed to figure out why. We sat down in front of the screen. The title flickered, and then the words appeared. "Welcome to the Playtime Toy Factory. Enter your names to join." I typed in my name. Dobie did the same. The moment we pressed enter, the screen flashed, and darkness swallowed us.
When I opened my eyes, dim lighting surrounded us. We stood in a long corridor. Flickering lamps cast strange shadows on the walls. The air was stale, filled with dust and a strangely sweet scent, like old gummy candy. Labrador looked around. A poster on the wall read, "Welcome to Playtime Factory. Keep smiling." Below it stood a broken toy, a giant plush bear with an eerily wide grin. In the distance, we heard children's laughter. It was quiet, but it sent chills down my spine. We moved forward. The factory looked abandoned. Scattered toy parts lay on the floor, and the silence was only interrupted by the occasional creak of metal. Then we heard whispering.
The day started peacefully. Dobie and I were sipping our morning coffee at the station, getting ready for our usual patrol. The streets were quiet. The citizens were going about their daily routines, and nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But everything changed when the phone rang. On the other end, we heard the trembling voice of a kindergarten teacher from Happy Tales Daycare. She was gasping in terror, almost screaming. "The daycare has been taken over." A giant dinosaur broke through the entrance, roaring and not letting the children out. Then, the call was abruptly cut off. Dobie and I exchanged glances. No questions asked. We jumped into our patrol car and sped off toward the daycare at full speed. "Guys, save me and Dobie! We climbed up this tall skyscraper and the lava is rising higher and higher. How can we win this?"
Why is the lava rising so fast? We needed to climb right to the roof of this skyscraper. Oh well, we'll have to start from the beginning.
After the failure at the skyscraper, we find ourselves on the Grandma's Cottage map. We greet our subscribers, and suddenly the lava starts flooding the entire house. We quickly climb to the upper floor and take shelter there. The lava is flooding everything around us, but we're holding on. Our subscribers have chosen a great challenge. It's always nice to feel safe at Grandma's, even if there's hot lava underfoot.
In this situation, the key is not to forget about cleverness. We laugh, remembering Grandma's pies, which could now save us from the lava. The upper floor of the house turns out to be a great shelter, and we continue interacting with our subscribers, sharing our impressions. It's almost like a picnic, but with lava all around.
The next map is simply amazing. It's New Year's, there's a huge Christmas tree, and we need to do parkour to get to the top. Dobie jumps like a real pro, but unfortunately, only I make it to the top. Being alone at the top of the tree is a little sad, but our subscribers support me and that gives me strength.
Labrador is showing excellent skills in parkour, and I continue joking with the subscribers below. The tree is incredibly beautiful, and the New Year's atmosphere adds a festive feeling even in such a tense situation. We laugh, joke about the presents under the tree, and wonder if the lava might also want a present.
Yes, and this is no longer just a game, but a real fight for survival. The lava is literally right on our heels. All you need to do is find a secure spot on the tree. The branches are so fragile, and every wrong step could be your last. But standing on one of its levels, you feel like a true winner. The ability to adapt is the key to survival.
Yes, Labrador, exactly. At first, it seemed like a fun holiday. All those lights and snowflakes. But as soon as we took the first step, I realized this is no laughing matter. The map was one big pyramid with 3 levels, each one a labyrinth with lava that erupts as soon as you step on the wrong tile. But we're sheriffs for a reason. We immediately geared up for serious work.
That's right. The first level seemed easy enough. Dobie and I were jumping from platform to platform, avoiding lava flows and paving our way. But the higher we climbed, the harder it got. Over there on the upper level, we almost didn't notice how the lava started rising right below us. It was a real race against time.
You're right, Labrador. As soon as we reached the very center of the pyramid, we started losing our balance. That moment when you realize every platform is a challenge. The lava was closing in on us, and on the last level, we had to show our maximum agility to avoid its grasp. But we pulled through, as always. In our animal city, no threat can stop us.
Yeah, it was tense, but here we are at the finish line. The pyramid structure surrounded by snow, lights, and a festive atmosphere, it's not only beautiful, but incredibly difficult. The lava definitely couldn't catch us now, and for that, we've truly earned the title of the best sheriffs in Roblox.
Oh, absolutely! This mode was great training for us, and once again, we showed that we can handle any challenge, even when it seems like a children's game at first. No lava flows or dizzying heights will stop us from finishing the mission.
We found ourselves on a colorful tower, and as soon as the game starts, the ground will turn to lava. The task is clear. We need to climb to the top, avoid traps, and not fall. But here's the thing. Even such a simple route turns into a real challenge when there are so many clouds around, which can be both helpers and obstacles.
Yes, Labrador, only we understand that behind this parkour lies real danger. The lava shows no mercy, and if you're not fast and precise, you can lose precious time. Every step on these clouds requires full concentration, especially when you have to jump from one to another, not knowing if the next cloud will hold your foot.
And here it is, this intense scene. Dobie and I are climbing the tower, those clouds ahead of us, and we can already see the lava right beneath our feet. Just a few seconds, and we could be down there. In reality, every choice matters. Even that small pause when deciding where to jump could be the deciding factor. But Dobie and I won't let ourselves relax. We're sheriffs.
Exactly, Labrador. Even when it feels like you're about to fall, you realize every jump is a step closer to victory. On these maps, it's not just agility that matters, but also strategy. We've already been through challenges like this. In Roblox, it's important to know when to take risks and when to slow down to avoid ending up in the lava. Strategy and attention are the key points.
Not long ago, Dobie and I faced a real disaster. A new scientist had arrived in our town, Professor Cvetic. He was known for his unusual inventions, but one of his creations led to a great catastrophe. He had created a device that he thought would make the world brighter and more colorful, but the result was terrible. This device started changing the colors of everything around, and not only the colors, it was distorting reality, turning the world into something completely different. The water turned into lava, and the trees became giant multicolored stones. Dobie and I immediately understood that we needed to take action.
By the time we arrived at the scene, the town was already suffering from the consequences of the professor's invention. The water in the river was boiling like a volcano, and the flowers and plants were changing shape, becoming something unrecognizable. Professor Cvetic was in a panic. He said he hadn't intended for things to turn out this way, but the device had gotten out of control. In his laboratory, we found the device. It was a huge crystal emitting strange light pulses. Each of its movements changed everything around it. We realized that if we didn't stop the device, the consequences would be even worse.
First of all, we turned off the power to try to stabilize the situation. But the device was too powerful, and simply turning it off was impossible. We had to find a way to neutralize it, and to do that, we needed to get to the core of the device. Professor Cvetic told us that there was a special stone inside that was responsible for all the changes. We had to find it and stop it.
Labrador and I struggled to get into the professor's laboratory, where the device was still emitting bright flashes. We found the stone, which was connected to the energy source of the device. It emitted light like a rainbow, and when we touched it, we felt everything around us starting to change. The water began to turn into lava again, and the ground beneath our feet became soft like dough. We knew we had to find a solution quickly, or everything would be lost.
I suggested using an old deactivator model we found in a corner of the laboratory. We connected it to the stone, and with God's help, we were able to stabilize the device. The stone began to dull, and the world around us started returning to normal.
The water became water again, and the trees regained their usual shapes. But the aftermath wasn't as terrifying as we had feared, and the town became safe once more. We explained to the professor that his invention was too dangerous, and he promised never to conduct such experiments again.
Recently, in our animal town, something truly unusual happened. Dobie and I had just finished our regular night patrol when we received an alarming call. Aliens were planning to invade our planet. Yes, you heard it right. The message came through a cosmic signal, intercepted by special services. We learned that alien dogs from the planet Zorks were heading to Earth, and if we didn't stop them, they would take over our world. Faced with this situation, we realized we couldn't just sit idly by. We were about to become the first dogs to travel to space.
When we were told that we were the only ones who could carry out this mission, we didn't waste any time. We were sent to the Space Center, where preparations for the launch were fast and intense. We suited up in special spacesuits and met the team of scientists who would be assisting us. Our mission was simple. We needed to gather information about the aliens' plans and send it back to Earth. We never imagined we would become real space heroes, but that's how the situation turned out.
The launch was truly unexpected. We blasted off into space, and at the moment when Earth was far behind, I felt the full weight of this journey. The cosmos was endless and full of mysteries. We were heading toward the planet Zorks, trying to be cautious and avoid falling into a trap. Our journey aboard the spacecraft wasn't easy, but Dobie and I stuck together and kept our confidence. We knew this might be our chance to save our home planet.
Upon arriving at the planet Zorks, we were greeted by huge aliens. But fortunately, we discovered they weren't as menacing as we had thought. In fact, the aliens just wanted to learn from us how we deal with challenges on Earth. They weren't enemies, they just needed help to develop. Labrador and I shared our values with them: friendship, peace, and cooperation. At some point, we realized that instead of fighting, we needed to make contact and offer help.
The reason for the invasion of our planet was a super delicious ice cream that drove the aliens crazy. We proposed that every week we would send them ice cream, and in return, they would leave our planet in peace.
This experience taught us that in any situation, it's important to act with respect and look for peaceful solutions. Labrador and I will continue to protect our town, but now we know that even in space, we can find allies.
Thank you all for watching. Let us know what you'd like to see next on our channel. See you soon!
I don't usually talk about fear, not because I'm immune to it, but because when it shows up, you don't have time to talk. You move. But that morning, I felt fear settle into my bones like a shadow you can't shake. The moment I saw the surveillance feed, 6 little animals curled under desks, a trembling hedgehog teacher trying to keep them silent, I understood the depth of the threat. This wasn't just a robbery gone wrong. This was intentional, premeditated, cruel. We later learned these weren't your average thugs. They were extremists, a fringe cell that believed Animal Town's integration policies were impure. That diversity was a disease. They wanted to make a statement, and they chose the most vulnerable symbols we had: children. But we didn't know that yet. All we knew was that there were 4 of them. 1 watching the front, another in the hallway, and 2 deeper in the building. The Ladybug room was in the west wing, past 2 fire doors and a corridor of glass. No cameras in that area, no audio. We had 1 shot. I moved first. Labrador had drawn their attention at the front, staging a negotiation bluff, pacing visibly, talking into a megaphone, making noise. I slipped around the back, through the staff parking lot, into the kitchen entrance, my badge off, my vest stripped down to the essentials. No sound. I knew that building better than most. My niece went there. I'd picked her up from that very hallway a dozen times. As I moved past the storage closets, I heard them. Voices, tense, frantic. I stopped breathing. One of them was arguing with another. Something about time running out. I understood then. They didn't want ransom. They wanted a broadcast, to stream their message live. I reached the hallway junction. I saw the first one. He was pacing, nervous, weapon in hand, not alert enough. I dropped him in 5 seconds. Then the second came, heard the noise, rushed in. We fought hand to paw in the corridor, crashing into lockers, the sound echoing like thunder. He was bigger. But rage makes you sloppy. Precision wins fights. I ended it quickly. 2 down. The third, a female, was in the Ladybug room. She had the door blocked with a table. I peeked through the bottom of the hallway mirror. She was standing over the teacher, weapon drawn. The kids frozen. One of them, a bunny named Theo, was whispering something to the others. trying to keep them calm. I nearly broke then, but I waited, watched, timed the moment. She turned. I moved. What happened in that room lasted 13 seconds, but I'll carry it with me for the rest of my life. She didn't go down easy, but she didn't touch them. Not one, because I didn't let her. And the fourth, he fled. Out the front, right into Labrador's path. You can guess how that ended.
To all of you who followed our stories through fire, gunfire, and even alien encounters, tonight I need you to listen carefully. Because what I'm about to tell you isn't a typical case. It's not about criminals looking for money or spies chasing secrets. This is about the day something unforgivable happened in Animal Town. The day evil walked through the front door of our most innocent place. The day they took the children. It started like every other weekday morning. Parents in robes, sipping coffee on front steps, ushering sleepy cubs and pups into cars, school buses humming down the main road, laughter, whining, cereal stuck to little noses, the usual. I was making my third round near Mulberry and 3rd, nodding to Mrs. Mole as she crossed the street with her twin sons. Dobie was up north by the train station, overseeing the new security scanners we'd installed after the bank incident. Everything felt normal, routine, and sometimes, that's the most dangerous feeling of all. The call came in at 8:27. Dispatch didn't even finish the sentence. I heard the panic in their voice before the words hit my ear. Hostage situation. Location. Little Acorns Daycare. My blood went cold. I turned the sirens on before I even made the U-turn. The streets blurred. My mind raced. That place, it wasn't just another building. It was the heart of this town. A sanctuary for tiny paws and sleepy eyes. A second home. I'd read stories to those kids during safety week. Dobie once brought them cookies shaped like badges, and now someone had taken it. By the time I arrived, the perimeter was already chaos. Parents screamed behind the police tape. A mother collapsed in sobs. Officers scrambled for positions, not knowing what they were walking into. I spotted Dobie emerging from his cruiser across the street, already on his radio. His face was tight, controlled, but I could see the fire in his eyes. We regrouped behind a sanitation truck, the only cover big enough to shield us both from the line of sight through the daycare windows. He gave me the rundown. 4 individuals, masks, armed, no demands, no contact, just stormed the front door at opening time and barricaded the entrance. Teachers were able to hit the lockdown button. Most classrooms were sealed, but not all. 1 room, the ladybug room, 6 children, 1 teacher, trapped. I remember the feeling that settled over me then. It wasn't fear, it wasn't even rage. It was colder than both. It was clarity. The kind that comes when you realize there's no room for mistakes, no backup, no negotiations, just you, and the decision to protect what must never be harmed. I'll let Dobie tell you what came next, because he was the one who stepped through the side entrance first. He bolted through the entrance like a wild thing, mask half off, eyes wide, weapon raised. I didn't raise mine. I stepped in front of the children. They were pouring out from the other classrooms now. Teachers guiding them through emergency exits, hands clasped. The last thing I wanted them to see was more violence. So I walked forward, slowly, steadily. And when he saw me, when he saw who we were fighting for, he dropped the weapon, dropped to his knees. He didn't say a word. Neither did I.
In the days that followed, the town held its breath. There were tears, rage, protests, investigations. But there was also unity, resolve, a fire lit beneath every parent, every teacher, every creature who believed that Animal Town stood for something more than just peace. It stood for protection. The Ladybug Room reopened a month later. Labrador and I were there. We stood in the back as the kids came in, now holding colored balloons, not fear. The teacher, Ms. Willow, had returned, stronger than ever. Theo ran up to me, held up a crayon drawing. It was me and Labrador standing in front of a red building with a rainbow over it. He said it was the safe place. We framed it. It hangs in the station to this day. Because no matter what comes, bank robbers, spies, aliens, or monsters in masks, we remember what we fight for. And we will never stop fighting. Not for safety, not for peace, and especially not for the children, not in our town. You'd think after something like that, after blood and terror inside a room full of stuffed toys and plastic crayons, that the worst would be over, that the evil had shown its face, been arrested, locked away, that the danger had passed. But evil doesn't always leave through the front door. Sometimes it lingers, it waits, and sometimes it grows in the silence. A few weeks after the attack on Little Acorns, we started noticing small things. A fire alarm pulled at the elementary school. False. A suspicious package left near the playground. Harmless. A drone flying too low over the nursery yard. Unregistered, but legally not enough to seize. Individually, annoying. Collectively, a pattern. I began a quiet investigation. No big announcements, no press, just me. A wall of photographs and a gut feeling. Because here's the truth. Predators rarely hunt alone, especially not the kind who go after children. No, these people were part of something bigger. And Labrador, he saw it too. He started talking to parents, gently, quietly, listening to things that didn't make it into reports. A fox dad said someone was watching the daycare drop-offs. A beaver mother got a threatening, anonymous email after defending us in a town meeting. A cat teacher found a USB drive on her windshield with photos from inside the school, taken through the windows. That's when we knew someone was still watching. They weren't finished.
He bolted through the entrance like a wild thing, mask half off, eyes wide, weapon raised. I didn't raise mine. I stepped in front of the children. They were pouring out from the other classrooms now. Teachers guiding them through emergency exits, hands clasped. The last thing I wanted them to see was more violence. So I walked forward, slowly, steadily. And when he saw me, when he saw who we were fighting for, he dropped the weapon, dropped to his knees. He didn't say a word. Neither did I.
We had two options. Wait for warrants or go in. We didn't wait. The place stank of mildew and secrets. The walls were covered with old protest posters, anti-government slogans, crude drawings of hybrid animals tagged with slurs. The main room was a digital spider's nest. 5 screens, all showing different locations. Schools, parks, playgrounds. One was zoomed in on the Little Acorns front door. Another showed my niece at recess. That was it. We moved. They heard us. One tried to run. Labrador tackled him in the stairwell. The second drew a weapon, but I was faster. The third locked himself in the server room and tried to wipe the system. Failed. We got him out, got the drives, the backups, the logs. But what we saw, that changed everything. These weren't just extremists. They were part of an online syndicate, a group that hunted vulnerability, targeted peaceful towns. Their game was to terrorize, record reactions, grow followers through chaos. Animal Town was just season 1, but we ended the pilot.